Okay, so, listener, we're hitting the accelerator on this deep dive. We're talking electric cars, but it's bigger than just the cars themselves, you know?
It's a real changing of the guard kind of thing.
Exactly. Like, who will dominate the future of driving? We're seeing this battle play out, especially with Chinese automakers coming on strong and the Europeans, well, they're trying to hold on to their turf. And where better to see this showdown happen than at the Paris Motor Show, right?
Well, absolutely. It's like the big leagues of auto shows. Everyone brings their best. And this year, let me tell you, it's gotten interesting.
Yeah, I was checking out some of the reports, and it sounds like things are tense out there.
You could say that again. I mean, last year was a real eye-opener for a lot of the European brands, you know. Almost half the car companies showcasing Chinese.
Wow.
Yeah. But this year, the Europeans, they came back swinging.
A comeback story. Always love those. So what changed?
Well, they realized they couldn't just rest on their history. The Chinese automakers, they're not messing around. They're bringing some serious innovation to the table.
Okay, so, like, give me an example. What are we talking about here?
Well, take BYD, for instance. They're everywhere right now, sponsoring the European Soccer Championships. Crying out loud. That's how you make a statement.
Right.
And then there's their new Sea Lion, the '07, I think it is.
Yeah.
People are saying it could take down Tesla's Model Y.
Seriously? Okay, that's a big deal. And didn't I see something about, like, a car that floats?
That's BYD, too. The Yangwang U8.
Yeah.
Designed to, handle a little water if it has to.
Wow. Okay, they are not messing around. What are the European car companies doing to fight back against, like, all that?
Well, Volkswagen, for one, is betting big on this new SUV they've got, the Tayron 7-seater, really pushing the family-friendly angle, along with, that classic Volkswagen quality.
Practical and prestigious. I like it. What about Renault?
Renault's going full nostalgia, brought back the R4. The R4. Yeah, right. Yeah, but like all electric now, of course.
Interesting. I mean, I get it, that whole retro thing. But is it enough? I mean, can nostalgia compete with this kind of, like, speed of innovation we're seeing?
It's a good question. I mean, some reports say that Chinese companies can develop a new EV twice as fast as their Western counterparts.
That's twice as fast.
Yeah. They've streamlined their whole process, which, to be honest, has some of those European automakers pretty worried.
It's like a whole different playbook, isn't it?
Yeah, and we're not just talking about cars here, right? There's this whole geopolitical thing happening, too, like with the trade war brewing between the EU and China.
Oh, right. Yeah, I forgot about that whole thing,
Yeah.
like with the tariffs and all that.
Exactly. The EU's thinking about slapping some hefty tariffs on those Chinese-made EVs.
Like, how hefty are we talking?
Like up to 45%.
Whoa, okay. That's a lot. So that's going to make those Chinese EVs a lot more expensive if that happens.
Yeah, it could. The EU says it's because, they're saying China is unfairly subsidizing their EV makers, giving them an unfair advantage. But the Chinese government, they're not backing down. They're saying, nope, not true. And they're even talking about, like, retaliating with their own tariffs.
So wait, hold on. Are we talking about an actual trade war over electric cars? I mean, what does that even mean for, like, regular people who just want to buy a decent car?
Well, it could shake things up quite a bit for consumers. I mean, on the one hand, yeah, those tariffs, those could make those Chinese EVs a lot pricier.
Right.
So that would maybe, I don't know, even the playing field a bit with the European brands, price-wise at least.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. But then aren't we, the people buying the cars, the ones who'd end up paying more anyway?
It's definitely a possibility. The EU, I think, they're walking a tightrope here. Well, they want to protect their own car industry, obviously, right? It's a huge part of their economy, not to mention a point of pride. But at the same time, they don't want to make things too hard on their own people, their own consumers.
It's a tough situation all around. What about the Chinese companies? Are they worried about these tariffs? Like, are they backing down at all?
It doesn't seem like it. A lot of them are still full steam ahead with expanding into Europe. I think they're thinking long term. They're not just trying to sell a few cars here and there. They're trying to build a whole presence, a whole brand identity over there.
Yeah.
And I think they figure, even if the tariffs do happen, those cars, those are still going to be pretty darn appealing, even with the higher prices.
That's true. It's not just about price. Like, they're doing some interesting things, those Chinese companies. Marketing-wise, I mean. Like, what is it about their approach that's so different, so effective? Is it as simple as sponsoring a big soccer tournament?
Well, sure, that doesn't hurt, right?
Yeah.
But it goes deeper than that. They're really trying to connect with European buyers in new ways. Like, instead of just your typical dealerships, some of them are opening these experience centers.
Experience centers?
Yeah, like in big cities.
Yeah.
And it's not just about going in and, kicking the tires,
No.
They're more like, I don't know, a lounge, a hangout spot almost. You can learn about the technology, take a test drive. They've got food and drink sometimes. It's a whole thing.
That's actually really smart. They're building a whole vibe around their brand. I like it.
It's clever.
Yeah.
And it shows how they're not afraid to try new things. They're willing to shake things up, even if it ruffles some feathers in the process. And that kind of attitude, it can be really appealing, especially to younger buyers who are used to, a more dynamic, faster paced kind of world.
I feel you. It does seem like those Chinese companies are moving at lightning speed,
It's true.
Like, how do they do it? Develop these cars so quickly. What's the secret?
Well, for one thing, they're not afraid to make decisions quickly.
Yeah.
They don't have all those layers of bureaucracy, the way a lot of those older companies do.
Yeah.
So they can go from, hey, let's make this car, to boom, here it is. So much faster.
Makes sense. Less red tape, more innovation.
Exactly. And they're also really good at using technology, like throughout the entire process.
Yeah.
From design to manufacturing to marketing.
Yeah.
Everything's data-driven. And that lets them be really efficient, really responsive to what's happening in the market.
It's really interesting to see how this is all playing out.
It is. And the thing is, this isn't just about cars. You know what I mean?
What do you mean?
It's about the future of mobility, of transportation. The decisions that are being made now by these companies, by governments, even by individual consumers, those are going to have ripple effects for years to come. I mean, this is big picture stuff.
Wow. Okay, you're right. It does kind of put things in perspective, doesn't it?
And then there's the whole environmental piece of it too, right?
Wow.
Which is huge.
Oh, right. Of course. Yeah. I mean, electric vehicles, they're a big part of, fighting climate change.
Absolutely. So this isn't just about, profits or who sells the most cars. It's about sustainability, about the planet.
No pressure. Right. But seriously, as someone who might be thinking about getting an electric car sometime soon, it's a lot to think about,
It is. It's a big decision.
Like, how do you even start to decide what kind of EV to get?
Well, I think the first thing you have to ask yourself is,
Yeah.
what matters most to you personally when you think about, what you want out of a car?
Yeah.
Are you all about that, smooth European driving experience, that,
Yeah.
That feeling of luxury, that history?
Right.
Or are you more into, the newest, coolest tech?
Mm-hmm.
Even if it means going with a brand that's, totally new to you, a Chinese company, for example.
That's the thing, isn't it? I mean, it used to be all about brand loyalty in the car world, right?
Yeah.
But now, consumers, they've got all the power, and they're not afraid to use it. It's true. People are way more open to trying new things these days.
Definitely. And that's why these Chinese automakers, they're so interesting to watch,
Yeah.
because they get that. They understand that the old rules, they don't necessarily apply anymore.
So, what are we talking about specifically, besides BYD, I mean? Who else should we be keeping an eye on?
Well, there's NIO. They're doing some really cool stuff with battery swapping technology. Imagine instead of plugging in your car to charge it, you just swap out the whole battery for a fresh one.
Really?
Yeah. Like at a gas station, but for batteries.
Wow. That's wild. Okay, what else?
And then there's XPeng. They're all about the tech, too. Their cars, they've got these advanced autonomous driving systems, some really innovative safety features. It's like they're trying to out Tesla,
It's amazing how fast things are changing. I remember when having Bluetooth in a car was the coolest thing ever.
Right. And now we're talking about cars that practically drive themselves
Mm-hmm.
and park sideways and survive floods. It's like, what's next? Flying cars.
Don't even get me started on flying cars.
It's a lot to keep up with. But that's what makes it so exciting, right?
It really is. So, okay, listener, if you're thinking about, taking the plunge, going electric for your next car, just remember, this isn't just about, buying a car. This is about, being a part of something bigger. It's about the future of driving, the future of our planet. No pressure.
But it's true. It's a big decision.
It is. But it's also an exciting time to be, shopping for a car.
Absolutely.
So do your research, keep an open mind, and enjoy the ride.
I like it. Enjoy the ride.
The future is electric.